Hey everyone, welcome back to Maine Tiny Homestead. And today in the garden we're going to be thinking about seed saving. We're not going to go through the actual process of it, but I'm going to talk a lot about it. So there's a couple of different ways to think about seed saving. Flowers are a little bit different than vegetables, and some of the vegetables need to be done in a different way than other vegetables. So let's get started and I'll tell you what I mean. Let's talk about seed saving from flowers. These are cosmos. It's a beautiful petal like this. The bees love them. It's a great pollinator. And as you can see in the very middle, you can see those little black tips. Those all turn into seeds. But what you need to do is wait until they dry on the vine. So we have one like this. And this one is ready. And you really can't snip it off like that. I'll try to get that. That's not going to work. Okay, so if we look at the inside here, you can see all the little seeds in there. So what I would do is snip off all of these that have died back while they're still on the vine and put them in a paper bag. You can use a little lunch bag, depending on how many seeds you have, obviously, but I like to use a little lunch bag for each variety and then just write on the bag itself what it is. What you're trying to do by throwing them in a bag is to have them dry the rest of the way in an environment that doesn't have any dust or anything in it, or any types of bugs can get in there while they're drying. So what I would do right now is I would go around and find all of the heads that are dead, right? So we have a couple of them right here. These bloomed a while ago and these are all ready to snip off, and I would just throw all of those in a paper bag. You would do the same thing for flowers like these. These are poppies. You could do the same thing with these. I don't know the name of these though, but you can see right in here, once these die back, they'll have the seed pod as well. And let's go over here and look at my zinnias. Zinnias you would do much like a marigold. Most of you might be familiar with saving seeds from a marigold plant, right? Where you would have the marigold, and inside here is where the seeds got once it dies off the branch. So on these zinnias, I have one over here that's died back. And then you would just take the seed pods and all in there, just throw them in a paper bag. Same thing, just cut these off and they're all full of seeds, as you can see. Now for vegetables, it's a little bit different. Let's take these beans, for example. These are bush beans. And what I'm going to do is you have to let these go way past the point of where you would pick them. You know, so these are pretty good where I would pick these now, but what we want to do is have those bean seeds form on the inside of the pod and then die on the vine. So what I've decided to do is I've already picked the first harvest. We're on the second harvest of these beans, and I'm going to let the rest of them stay on the vines and go to pods and then have them dry there, and then you can pick them. So you really want them to be totally all the way dead. All of these would still be on here. They'll be bulging out. You'll be able to tell when they're ready to go. But what you want to do is identify now which plants you want to save from. You also don't want to save from just one plant. So I have some other beans over here, and I'm going to be saving, I'll be saving some of them from here. As you can see, these are just blooming now, so we have really baby ones on here. So I got some in here, so I'm going to designate 3 of the plants that are in this batch, and then all of them that are in that bucket to seed save. So it's really going to be difficult for me to not pick them off and eat them as we go here. but I'm going to do my best so I can seed save. You can do that with peas as well. Anything that's got a seed inside the pod, you're going to leave on the vine until the entire plant is brown and dead. And then you're going to harvest them on a dry day and just put them in a paper bag so that the rest of the moisture can come out of them before you take them out of the pods. But when you think of other plants, like maybe tomatoes that you want to seed save, what I'm doing over here, these are my 2 cherry tomatoes. These are my Sun Gold cherry tomatoes. And what I'm going to do with these is the ones that I want to save, you're going to do it from the ripest tomato. So I'm going to let them ripe all the way on the vine. Sometimes I would pick them at this color, and they would continue to ripen in a day or 2 on the counter. But what I'm going to do is leave these on the vine, because all of these I'm going to try to seed save. Now, seed saving for tomatoes is very different than beans or peas or anything like that, because you have to kind of cure the seed so that it builds up a coating on the outside so that it's viable to be saved. It's a little fermenting process that you have to do to rinse them and soak them and have that build up. So when I'm going to start doing that, I'll do another video to show you that. But the key thing to do now before you pick everything is to identify which ones you want to save so that you have it in mind and you know what you want to do. Now, of course, sunflowers are a great one to seed save. You can save the whole head and have all the seeds come out of that. This sunflower is having a rough year. Look how this huge head is bent way over because of the drought. Let's see if we can get under here so you can see all the seeds that we're eventually going to get from that. But what is really cool is this one's kind of a mutant. Check this out. I got another side shoot with a head gonna burst there. And if I bring you way up here, you can see this split. And I have one flower that opened there. And there's 3 more heads on the top of this one. And this one split, and there's 3 heads on that too. So this is going to actually give us a lot of seeds, even though this big one has bent over because of the drought. I really didn't plant it in a good spot. It's draining away. It's kind of on a hill here, if you can see. And every time I water it, it just runs downhill. So next year, I'm not going to put it in this spot. I'll find a new spot, but I'll have plenty of seeds to save from this. And this is still a good pollinator. It's still growing. The other parts of the sunflower are still doing good. So we're going to keep this one going so I can save the seeds, from all the heads that are going on here. Now, if you want to seed save on onions, you need to wait until they throw up a shoot like this. Then they'll flower to the top, and then once all of this opens and dies off, these will be full of seeds. And then, of course, just throw them in a paper bag, let them finish drying, and then all the seeds will just fall out. But with onions, not everyone throws up the seed head. So if you get them, then save them. That would be the best way to go there. Now that the weather is all pouring and raining out right now, I'm glad we started thinking about a seed savings yesterday when it was nice out. I was able to identify which plants and flowers I wanted to save the seeds from, and now I know which plants to do and what the plan is going to be. So now I just have to wait for some of those plants to die on the vine, which will be a little bit later in the season. And then those flowers that I wanted to save, I'll have to wait for another dry day to do it because it's going to be pouring for another day or 2, it seems like. So as always, if you love the videos, please subscribe and like and tell your friends about it. And check back for more videos from Maine Tiny Homestead.